Ferrari, Chanel, Rolex, Bonneville, the iconic classics need no introduction. So when it comes to violins, what's widely considered the greatest of all time is the Stradivarius. Named for Antonio Stradivari, an Italian luthier who produced hundreds of instruments in the 16 and 1700s, the violins are some of the most prized instruments on Earth. And one of the estimated 600 that still exist is coming up for auction. It's said to date back to 1714, the maker's so-called golden period, when by age 70, he had reportedly perfected the art of producing exceptional sounding pieces. The chairman of Sotheby's auction house, which is offering the violin, says whether it's the shape, the quality, the varnish, or the wood, it's not known what makes a Stradivarius so extraordinary. But this one is expected to sell for an extraordinary price this week. Estimates put it at between $12 and $18 million, with anything over $15.9 million being a record. It was donated to a music school that plans to use the money to finance student scholarships, which will be beautiful music to recipients' ears. Hi, I'm Carl Azuz. Can earthquakes be predicted? The short answer is no, but our next subject on The World from A to Z explores how fears of one are prompting large evacuations on a Mediterranean island. It's part of the European nation of Greece. Its name is Santorini, the idyllic location which Lonely Planet describes as the supermodel of the Greek islands, is internationally famous for whitewashed buildings, stunning sunsets, and phenomenal food. And a young adult told Reuters News that Santorini has emptied out. What authorities describe as a very intense geological phenomenon has led roughly 9,000 people, more than half its population, to leave their homes. There have been over 500 earthquakes there in a matter of days. They're relatively small. The strongest by the time we produced this show was magnitude 5.3. Those are pretty common in earthquake-prone areas. No major damage had been reported by last night. Nothing large had collapsed. A tour guide told the British Broadcasting Corporation that the sound of the rumbling has been the scariest part. But schools and businesses have closed. Swimming pools have been emptied. Authorities have warned that the tremors could continue for weeks. And fears of a bigger quake shaking Santorini and the surrounding islands have sent many residents to the Greek mainland. And what about forecasting these events? The United States Geological Survey says scientists have never predicted a major quake. It adds they don't expect to be able to anytime soon. What seismologists can do is estimate the probability of one occurring. The locations aren't exact, and the possible time frames can extend for years.
Word of knowledge. Polyvinyl chloride is a type of what? Plastic, bleach, food additive, spray paint. Often abbreviated as PVC and used in everything from plumbing to medical gloves, polyvinyl chloride is a common type of plastic.
Production of multiple types of plastic has increased in recent decades, and now it's showing up in greater concentration in our brains. We say greater concentration because for years, researchers have found tiny plastic particles in our bodies. They're in our blood, hearts, and lungs. But a recent study compared the brains of people who died last year to the brains of those who died 9 years ago, and scientists found about 50% more plastic in those who passed away more recently. The amount, researchers say, is equivalent to what's in a standard plastic spoon, but they're not sure of that exactly. The study's lead author says the measurement methods may be off. They're also not sure whether these plastic particles have an impact on brain health, but they did find that people who'd been diagnosed with dementia had higher concentrations of nanoplastics than others. Most of the particles came from polyethylene, which is used in plastic bags, water bottles, and shampoo bottles. So experts say we should favor cloth grocery bags, refill and reuse metal water bottles, and store food in glass containers. Separately, scientists are researching the brains of healthy living people in hopes of developing better treatments for brain diseases.
It includes Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, strokes, and epilepsy. Brain diseases and disorders affect so many people, but researchers say right now the root cause of many of them is still not fully understood.
Therefore, we cannot come up with any therapeutic or any treatment for most of the neurodegenerative disorders.
That's why Dr. Ahmad Najm and his team at Cleveland Clinic launched a large-scale brain study 3 years ago, hoping to not only help treat these diseases after diagnosis, but also to potentially prevent them altogether.
We are looking at the body and the brain before the disease happens. And this is what we call the silent phase.
During that phase, Najm says changes in the brain begin to happen years before symptoms start. For this study, researchers have enrolled nearly 3,600 healthy adults. Participants are aged 50 and older with no known neurological disorder, or a healthy adult aged 20 and above who have a family history of multiple sclerosis. They'll undergo testing and be monitored over the course of 20 years.
The ultimate hope is to find out what we call therapeutic biomarker. One of these changes could be a target of development of a new medication or repurposing of a medication that's already approved.
I'm Mandy Gaither.
On this date in world history. One of the oldest museums on Earth opened to the public on this date in 1852. The Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, Russia had actually been founded the previous century by Russian Empress Catherine the Great, but it was a private art gallery then. Today it houses numerous European masterpieces and items dating back to the Stone Age. Well, welcome, stranger. I'm not just being hospitable. Welcome, stranger was the name given to what's generally regarded as the biggest gold nugget ever found. Two miners named John Deason and Richard Oates dug it up in Victoria, Australia on this date in 1869. The welcome stranger was 158 pounds and 2 feet long and had to be broken up to be weighed properly. And on February 5th, 1909, American chemist Leo Baekeland presented an invention that would change the world of manufacturing. Bakelite was what he called it. It was the world's first completely synthetic plastic. Speaking of traveling, let's visit Idaho, a gem of a state. It's where the students and teachers of Kendrick High School are watching our show. Great to see y'all in the city of Kendrick, where the Tigers roam. We're making a stop in the Hoosier state of Indiana at Center Grove Middle School Central. We're happy to have Mr. Williams' class watching. Let's go Trojans in the city of Greenwood. And every time I say Evergreen State, I picture a pretty picturesque place. That's Washington State. That's where Alternative Tamarack School is. Big hello to our friends in Spokane.
That is the sight and sound of a meteorite crash landing on a Canadian home's sidewalk. The video was recently shared as part of a study of the sudden strike by scientists at the University of Alberta, who say the meteorite didn't just make a mess, it may have made history.
The first time that we've ever had a recorded fall of a meteorite hitting the surface of the Earth with sound included.
Thankfully, no one was hurt, but in an interview with CTV, the cosmic close encounter left the homeowner waxing philosophical.
The lives that we lead are just a small part of this, celestial drama that's so much bigger than we can possibly imagine.
I'm Jeremy Roth.
An endless skydive. Seems like it'd only be possible if the Earth were flat and you missed. But a German skydiver wouldn't let that keep him from trying. He teamed up with other professional stunt folks so he could jump out of a helicopter, wingsuit to a plane, grab and hold on to a tether while the aircraft climbed back up into the sky over the Grand Canyon, and then let it go to free fall again. Too bad Icarus wasn't able to catch a plane, but it proves it's possible as long as you don't catch air while you're already in it. You have to respect the gravity of the situation. Always keep your chin and body up, accept the ups and downs, never hit the deck, and make sure the farm stays for sale. But for those who wingsuit up and soar where only eagles dare to fly, you can see how they totally fall for it, y'all. I'm Carl Azuz. Thankfully you've dropped in for another edition of The World from A to Z. Means the world to have you watching.